The coffee shop was buzzing, a familiar symphony of clattering mugs, hushed conversations, and the gentle hiss of the espresso machine. I was there, as usual, tucked away in my favorite corner, observing the daily dance of humanity. It's what I do. I write, I watch, I try to capture the tiny, often overlooked moments that tell a bigger story. Today, that story belonged to a woman I'd seen countless times but never truly noticed. She was around 35, I guessed, with kind eyes that seemed to carry a quiet sadness. She worked at the counter, always efficient, always polite, but somehow invisible. People would bark orders at her, barely meeting her gaze. They'd scroll through their phones while she painstakingly prepared their lattes, sliding them across the counter with a practiced ease that went unappreciated. Today was no different. A group of businessmen in crisp suits were loud and demanding, their voices cutting through the ambient noise. They ordered, they paid, they collected their drinks, all without a single genuine acknowledgement of the woman who served them. It was disheartening to watch, this casual disregard. I felt a pang of something akin to frustration, a desire to shout, "Hey! She's a person!" But I stayed silent, just another observer in a world that often failed to truly see. Then, the doors swung open, and a man walked in. He wasn't flashy. No entourage, no dramatic entrance. Just a man, older, with an air of quiet authority that permeated the room. He wore a simple, well-tailored suit, but something about his posture, the way he held himself, whispered of a deeper discipline. The chatter in the coffee shop didn't stop, but it certainly softened. Heads turned, whispers started. Even the usually oblivious businessmen paused their booming conversation, a flicker of curiosity in their eyes. He walked with purpose, not towards the counter, but directly towards her. My pen hovered over my notebook, my gaze fixed. He stopped a few feet from her, and for a moment, they just looked at each other. There was something in her eyes now, not sadness, but recognition. And in his, a profound respect. Then, he did it. He stood ramrod straight, and in that bustling coffee shop, amidst the clatter and the murmur, he raised his hand to his brow and rendered a perfect, crisp salute. A military salute. The silence that descended upon the coffee shop was immediate and absolute. It wasn't a gradual fading of sound. It was like someone had hit a mute button on the world. The businessmen stared, their mouths agape, forgotten coffees growing cold on the counter. The baristas behind her, usually so busy, stood frozen, trays of pastries forgotten. Every single eye in that room was now on her. Her eyes, which had held that quiet recognition, now filled with tears. She didn't salute back, not at first. Instead, a small, choked sob escaped her lips. The general held his salute, his gaze unwavering, full of a quiet strength and deep, unspoken admiration. Finally, she managed a small, almost imperceptible nod, and he slowly lowered his hand. He stepped closer and spoke, his voice low but clear enough to carry in the sudden, cavernous silence of the room. "Thank you, Sergeant Major, for your service, for your sacrifice. It is an honor to see you, Sergeant Major." The words echoed in the suddenly very small coffee shop. This quiet, overlooked woman, the one everyone ignored, was a sergeant major. A senior non-commissioned officer, a leader, a hero. Tears streamed down her face now, not of sadness, but of something raw and profound. Perhaps relief, perhaps the weight of years of unrecognized sacrifice finally acknowledged. The general didn't try to stop her tears. He just stood there, a pillar of respect. Then he reached out, gently took her hand, and shook it firmly. "We never forget," he said, his voice a little softer now. "No one ever forgets." The spell began to break, slowly, uncertainly. A few people started to clap, tentatively at first, then with more conviction. The applause grew, a wave of belated appreciation washing over the room. The businessmen, their faces a mixture of embarrassment and awe, now stood a little straighter themselves. I watched her, truly watched her, as she composed herself. She wiped her tears, a faint, proud smile gracing her lips. She wasn't just the coffee shop worker anymore. She was a sergeant major. She was seen. She was honored. And in that moment, surrounded by strangers who had finally opened their eyes, she was magnificent. I closed my notebook, my own eyes a little misty. Sometimes, the biggest stories unfold in the most unexpected places, proving that true heroism often walks among us, silently, until someone finally sees it. And sometimes, it just takes a 4-star general to remind us all to look a little closer.